Welcome back to Cross-Cultural Management Week 7 and 8. I'm Andrew Sears, and I'm going to go over the goals of this week. We're going to do a little bit more reflecting on the principles of the base of the pyramid and apply those to your organization's strategy. And then we're going to focus on the final project, which is really applying your cross-cultural knowledge and experience to provide strategic recommendations for an organization expanding, or in some cases it could be better in serving a cross-cultural sector. So I'm just going to highlight the final project really is trying to assess, have you done the overall course objective? So as you're doing this, this is really the thing that your course instructor is going to be looking at is, have you demonstrated that you have an understanding of the cultural dimensions of individual and organizational cultures? Are you utilizing tools to analyze individual and organizational aspects of culture? Have you evaluated your organization's culture and its distinctive impact and how it relates to its customers? And are you developing a really strong consulting report for evaluating an organization's culture, cross-cultural effectiveness, and developing strategic recommendations? Now, I'm going to go into what the expectations are for this. So you're going to see in week 7 and 8, things look really light, and even to a certain extent in week 6. The reason for that isn't that these are light weeks. It's because you should be spending about 15 hours a week probably writing. So at least, maybe longer. So I'm going to go into again, a summary of what to expect. So you need to be sure, and this is going to be in the last week because this is coming back to chapter 1. Some people, it might be easy to overlook this, but you need to have an executive summary of all the key concepts from the whole course. But do it as if you're presenting it to the executive director or the leadership of the organization that you're writing about. So it doesn't have to be a paragraph on each thing. What it needs to be is you need to synthesize it, and you need to say, okay, here's the important things for this organization in this context. 6 to 8 double spaced pages. So then you're going to write a consulting report. If you're a graduate student, that consulting report needs to be 15 to 25 pages. If you're an undergraduate, 10 to 15 pages. And part 1 is really going to be, it's motivational. It's, you might say this is the, how do you convince the organization that it needs to do this? Now, I realize some of you may be in organizations that are already serving cross-culturally, and you might want to, this might also be a way to better serve. But what you're trying to do is, how do you motivate people? That's what CQ Drive is. How do you get your organization to change? Why is this really important? One example, there's a lot of schools in various parts of the country that all of a sudden, if they don't learn how to serve a Latino population, they're not going to be around in 10 years. So that would be a good reason to learn how to serve a Latino population. That's an example. So that's the first part. Then part 2 is the cultural assessment. It's basically saying, how well is the organization doing cross-culturally? What is the culture of the organization? What's the culture of this target market? And then the part 3 is going to be, what are the ways that people internally in the organization are going to need to grow? You can apply things like indigenous leadership development. And how is this organization going to grow to meet this challenge? And then the last part is looking at the base, bottom of the pyramid, the corporate strategy playbook. And how do you apply that? So what aspects of the current strategy will need to change? How do you best engage with customers or clients? How can you make things more, or better contextualized? And then, what might need to change in how you're organized? How can you serve this without the risk of marginalizing new culture or having tokenized leaders that don't really have authority, who's going to be your key bridge builders, what will be your Indigenous leadership development strategy, what's your reporting structure, and then the last part of this is going to be self-evaluation. So, reflect on what you learned in the course, and we like to ask that you spend, half a page or a page recommending how do we improve this. And this is actually part of your grade, so put things in this. If you know that there's a great video that would be really good, helpful for our students cross-culturally, send us that. And if there's other tips on how to improve this course, things that you would like to see covered, include that. So that's the course, or the final project. Again, there is this sample final project that you can go through. There's some parts of it that I would give an absolute A+. Some parts, read the instructions and it may not have fully, addressed things, and you're not seeing the feedback that was given, to the student. But I wanted you to see an example. So with that, I think I would want to conclude just with this thing that I started with, that, remember that this course really is going to get you a lot of head learning. It's going to be a challenge. I've seen people, they go through all this cross-cultural training, they get so motivated, and then they go to their boss who's been doing this for, 30 years, and they tell them what to do, and, their boss has, you may have more head learning than your boss. Your boss probably is going to have more heart learning, more hand learning, more doing. So what you need to do is figure out how can you use this to give people head learning, not in a way that looks down on folks, or makes it feel like you know more than them, because in many ways they're going to know more than you on the heart and hand level. But how do you give people language for doing these things? The other thing I would encourage you to use any of the things from this course, if you want to use in your organization, take some of your staff or leadership through. I would encourage you to do that. That's part of why we try to use open materials. If you want to download, have them do any of this. So on the final project, just to emphasize, our values as an organization is it's absolutely critical you're doing something that's useful. So don't just get caught up in what's all the constraints of the course requirement. What I want you to do is provide a document that would be useful for this organization, and do that. So thank you all. Hopefully this is useful, and please give us feedback so we can improve this. Thanks a lot. Bye.